Hey, friends, and welcome to the Lindsey Elmore Show. In today's episode, I am going to be talking with Sandy Joy Weston. We're going to talk about how the innate desire to dance led her down a career path, owning fitness studios, being a fitness expert on television, and training with some of the best athletes in the world. Uncovered a different mission for her. Sure, she loved helping people to work on their bodies, but what she really wants to help people do is understand that you have the capacity to find pure joy and positivity throughout so many different areas of your life. After I talk with Sandy, I am going to be talking to you about ways that you can easily shift from a more pessimistic perspective to a more optimistic perspective by finding joy in the little things in everyday life. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Lindsey Elmore Show, a podcast that helps you find fulfillment amidst chaos. On this show, I interview thought leaders, doctors, creatives, spiritual gurus, and game changers who inspire you to pursue your dreams, overcome obstacles, and leave your mark. Sandy Joy Weston has owned and operated health and wellness companies in the Philadelphia area for over 30 years. She uses fitness not just as a way to transform your physical well-being, but as a vehicle for mental well-being. Early in her career, she became the first female trainer for the Philadelphia Flyers and worked with the Philadelphia 76ers dance team. She also spent many years as a media personality and as Philadelphia NBC 10's fitness expert, where she was able to highlight local businesses, teach fitness trends, and interview some of Philadelphia's best athletes. She is the host of the podcast, Let's Keep It Real and Positive Bitch Lady. She is also the author of Train Your Head and Your Body Will Follow. And she offers a 30-day reset journal for anyone beginning their fitness routine. But that's not exactly what we talk about today. Sure, we talk about fitness, we talk about training your body, but Sandy is such a beam of light and is just full of pure joy. And throughout everything that she does, she is on a mission to highlight all of the positive in the world and help people come together to reach their individual and community goals. Sandy Joy Weston, thank you so much for being on the Lindsey Elmore Show.
Woo, woo, I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you too. Okay, so I was on your website, and there is a one-liner on your website that I think is so important. And you say that it only takes 1 to 3 minutes a day to change your body, which thereby changes your life in a positive direction. So you are born and bred in Philly. You've been in Philadelphia in the wellness arena. You are the host of podcasts. You've written a couple books. Tell us about your journey. What got you started down this fitness direction?
Okay.
And what brought you to the conclusion that fitness can actually change your life as well as your body?
Whew, that's a big question, but I can sum it up in one word: dance. Dance was my life. It was my life. I grew up in humble beginnings in a project setting. Mom, God rest her soul, most of her time in a mental institution. So me and my brother, we were like, okay, what are we doing here? We have a couple choices: deal drugs, prostitution, or ask the angels to help me. So when I was a very young, I think I must have been 4. It sounds crazy, but I always thought there was these fine angels looking out for me. And
There probably were.
and they were taking me somewhere. Not a lot, but they laughed a lot and they had fun. So I always got this feeling that through movement, laughter, my dance and words, somehow it was going to get me out of my yucky setting. And I grew up every single day looking at a word. I would pick a word: joy, love, passion. What did I want to show up in the world with? Ask for guidance and move. And my dance saved my life. I mean, it just saved me. It took me everywhere. My dance teacher was probably one of the few people who said to me, you can get out of the situation. Everyone else is like, just be happy to graduate high school. If you waitress, which is great, but be happy. Nothing wrong with it. But I used my dance and my movement to take me to get to college, to get out of that setting, and to mentally stay stable. So that's why everything I do, I wish I could say at the time I knew where I was going. I just knew I wanted to dance and move and spread joy. I thought I was going to be a dance teacher. If you heard me speak, I would be its, buts. I mean, I didn't have a great vocabulary, didn't ever anticipate being on television as a fitness, no way. But I knew that if I focused on my intention, it would get me far. You know what I mean? Like my intention, move and use that to spread joy and laughter. And it just took me on such a journey that I could not even possibly imagine. And as a little kid, I had no idea how the doors would open. I just knew they would. Does that make sense?
Well, I think it's the very definition of walking in faith. It's that very definition of starting up the staircase before you can see the end of it in sight. And so it's interesting that you say dance was the thing that saved you, because you went on to have a career not only as the first ever female trainer of the Philadelphia Flyers, but you also worked with the 76ers dance team and then transitioned into a media personality. And so talk to us, because a lot of people have limiting beliefs about themselves. They think that because of where I'm from, I don't deserve to be NBC's fitness expert or to create a nationally recognized line dance program. How did you overcome those voices inside of your head that told you that you weren't good enough?
So here's the opposite of growing up in a wealthy family who has all these expectations. In my head, I thought anything I do beyond graduating high school and being a waitress is icing on the cake. If I fail, so what? I'll pick myself up. Where am I going? You going to take my money? Okay. I've lived without money. I'll start over. So it allowed me to break barriers and be a risk taker because I had nothing to lose.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like some people, my friends, I say, honestly, I think it was harder for you because you grew up with these parents who were pretty normal and they put these things in your head that you can't do this, meaning well, they love you, but they don't want you to get hurt. I didn't have any of that. My strong connection, I had a few people, my aunt, my uncle, who took me to dance classes and I bribed them to pay for it. Thank you. And my angels and my brother who saved my life a lot of times. But my strongest connection was to the universe, to my angels. Like I would spend more time connecting to them. And for me, I feel like sometimes we don't ask enough for guidance and help. But because I had nowhere to go, I did. So I would just say, my eyes are open for all opportunity. I don't know where it's going to take me, but if you say, hey, would you like to do a segment on the TV show? I'd say, okay. And then I would give it everything. But none of it was my idea, Lindsey. Like I didn't say, oh, I want to open a health club. Oh, I want to train the Flyers. Oh, I want to be on TV. It came to me. But whenever I did anything, Even, I mean, I pumped gas, worked at McDonald's, Burger King. I did it to shine. I wanted to shine.
Oh, I so recognize those feelings. Throughout my entire life, people have always told me, you're such a hard worker. You're such a good worker. You go above and beyond. But this is just innate in me. Like, I don't show up here today with 7 hours worth of preparation because I'm speaking to the Sandy Joy Weston. I just want to know, what's your story and how can I authentically hear you and learn from you and be present here with you and show up for you in the best possible way, which means that I show up for myself in the best possible way. And so take our listeners who may not have a positive mindset. They may be negative Nellies. The glass is always half empty. They may not have any kind of fitness routine, any kind of well-being routine. They may be in the 2020 funk of stress or fear or disbelief or whatever their emotions are. How can they take 1 minute a day to add more joy and positivity into their life?
Okay. This is going to be so easy. It's going to blow your mind. Okay.
Can't wait.
All right. But I got to take on a little journey. So I trained clients since the time I was in my 20s, right? One-on-one. Anybody you can think of, not just the sports team, CEOs, moms, whatever. I was fortunate enough to attract people that I thought exuded, for the most part, a lot of joy. Didn't matter who they were. They just loved what they did. They felt worthy. So as years went by, I started studying them and I'd say, ooh, I'll give you a free membership to the gym if you let me research you and study you for 2 hours. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. So I would do this and I picked like 100 people and I studied them. I wanted to know, was there something in common with all these people? Was there something I could teach? All right, because I do believe, you could wake up hippy skippy, or you could just train your brain every day to have faith, to have that belief of only focusing in or mostly focusing in on the good out there. There's going to be good and bad and ugly, but you have to train yourself. It's like work with the brain. I didn't realize that I was doing my whole life, but it can be done. It doesn't matter where you start. So I sat down, put all this stuff together. It took me years. And I went, holy freaking moly. You want to know the secret sauce? Here it is. The one thing they all did, every single person, before they started their day, it didn't matter what they did. Before they walked out the door, they did something to get them in that positive headspace. Mm-hmm. Some people just spent a few minutes. Some people spent hours, but they decided how they were going to show up. They could have wrote lists. They could have meditated. One person made muffins. Another person sang, but they decided how they were going to show up. So I decided, what if I create a journal? Tell some of these stories, but create a journal that will only take people a few minutes a day. So the journal is set up in a way, but you can make your own, that you home in on your game plan, your power statement, so that on those days, no matter what's going on and you're in a funk, you look at like, okay, there's my word. That's what I want. That's my goal. And it just resets your brain to get back quicker on what you want. So then I decided I was going to meet the powers to be. And I went out and sat with people that are such brainiacs, like from neuroscientists to neurologists to exercise physiologists to chemists. And I said, can I put something together that is only going to be a few minutes long? And I came up with this acronym game plan. They argued, they fought. I didn't really understand most of what they said, but I did understand, Weston, you're onto something. Mm-hmm. So I put together something, and it was going to take 5 minutes a day. And I sent it out to 100 people again, and it failed flat on his face.
Of course, because sometimes things do that.
Yeah. And it was a year, and I was crying, and I went to my professor. He goes, well, Sandy, no wonder. No one's going to spend 5 minutes a day to change their life in a positive, powerful way. You got to make it them into 3 minutes. I go, why didn't you say anything? He goes, you needed to go through that. I was like, I'm going to kill him. So I went back and I took something, and it takes 1 to 3 minutes a day. Now, why? Because there's nothing more important than getting yourself in that right headspace. So if you just take 1 to 3 minutes a day, and then work out, you're going to do a workout more that you enjoy, whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 30 minutes. If you want to meditate, you could take a minute or you'll take 45 minutes. But by doing that every single day, preferably in the morning, you then will take action from that love space. Do you know what I mean? Like whether it's doing a podcast, sending an email before, like if you're angry. Ooh. So that's why I said all it takes, it's the consistency. It's not the amount of time.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I just finished reading The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and he says that success is not a big overnight transformation and all of a sudden you're successful. Success is what you're willing to do. It's the mundane crap that you're willing to do every single day. It's the baking muffins. It's the stopping before you send the angry email. It's the going to bed early. There's nothing glamorous about this stuff.
Yeah.
And so you have a free ebook called Brain Resets. So tell us, if somebody is in a cycle of negative self-talk, or if they're in a place where their kids are going nuts or they're stuck in traffic yet again, frustrating moments within our lives, how do we shift from point A to point B and still understand that we have control over our emotions even in these stressful situations?
Okay, so here's the biggest part. When you feel those, let's call them, you have love-based emotions and fear. So when you have fear-based emotion, which means emotions that don't serve you well, and you can tell because you don't feel good, right? You acknowledge it and go, it's okay. That's the biggest part. I'm feeling anxious. We understand that in these days. I'm feeling scared. I'm fearful. I'm exhausted. You acknowledge it and say, and don't judge it, and say, it's okay. It's okay that I'm feeling this way. It's okay. Then you take, which I'm sure you've heard before, some deep breaths in, 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Breathing is so simple, and people keep saying just breathe, but it really is the key. It calms your nervous system down immediately. So you can't be anxious and breathe at the same time. So you take that, you just acknowledge how you feel, you take some deep breaths until you feel calmer. And then you ask yourself, how do you want to feel? What do you want to embody in this moment? Right? So if you're anxious, you don't want to go from anxious to saying, woo-hoo, I feel amazing, rah, rah, because that's like, woo. But maybe you can get to hopeful. Maybe you can get to peaceful. And then you just say, I'm envisioning myself, and you start breathing and you embody and think, I would love to feel ease and flow. And I'm telling you, just need to do that for like 90 seconds and you can shift out. Now, I have fun little things and little meditations to do, like you'll see on the ebook, like while you're in traffic, while you're pumping gas. I mean, you don't have to be sitting at home in the yoga position. You know, these just quick little things that you can do a minute here and a minute there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, the most fun thing about just it taking a moment is you can do it anywhere and everywhere. You know, nobody even notices if you're at work or if you're at, you know, church, and you just take a moment to say, I'm in a moment of gratitude right now. You know, this is my 60 seconds of gratitude. It's something that anyone can do that's not intimidating. It's not intimidating. So another thing that you are a big proponent of is journaling. And so talk to us about the effects of journaling, because I did some research about journaling because, you know, since I moved, I recently moved, and I have been in a situation where I said, you know what, I need to get back to journaling. It was something I did for years and years. And what I found in the research is that journaling and expressive writing can boost your mood. It can improve your sense of well-being. It can help to reduce symptoms of depression after an event. It can reduce avoidance symptoms as well as intrusion symptoms in people who've experienced trauma. And it also helps with our memory and, lo and behold, our immune system. And so talk to us about how you got into journaling and, is there a magic trick? Like how do people begin to journal?
Okay. So I called it scribble scrabble.
Yes.
I call it scribble scrabble. So I always scribble scrabble, even with my books. If you looked at where most of my information came from, I had these journals and I would just scribble scrabble. Good, bad, ugly. I got it out of my head, because if you have someone to talk to, it's great that you trust with your inner workings, who's not judging you. That's great too. But this is some safe space. So there's different ways to journal. One is you just get out all the negative crap and you put a big X through it just to say, okay, these are all the negative thoughts. There's other journaling that's creative. There's other journaling that people just want to write their thoughts and how they're feeling the day. It's all great. The thing that I emphasize, though, if you're not a journaler, just get a guided book that will help you so that you're not spending 20 or 30 minutes in journaling. You might get there, but that's why I said it only has to take you 1 to 3 minutes. Find something that you like, and there's so many out there that will guide you. I created a game plan so that it would trigger people's brain, like, what's my goal for the month? What's my action I'm willing to put forward? What's my motivation for wanting it? And then let's be honest, how much energy are you going to give to it? And here's the deal. 40% more people reach their goals when they write them down.
Yeah.
That's it. And so for that aspect, by writing it, you see it, your brain sees it. But the big part that people, I think, sometimes miss the boat, and I know this because I owned health clubs, they go, okay, I'm not in shape. I'm going to get in shape. And I don't move. I sit on the sofa, but I'm going to work out an hour every day. It's not happening. It's just
no,
right.
It's not.
So you want to be realistic, because you want to say to yourself, what am I really willing to do? So even if it's like, I'm going to move 5 minutes a day for the next 30 days. If you move more, great. But scientifically, it's proven that the brain and body the connection needs to see success. You want to see success. So if you say, oh, I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes a day, whatever it is, think, I know without a shadow of a doubt, I can do this X amount of days a week. If you do more, whoop-dee-doo, great. Then you can change it. But you want to get yourself used to seeing success. And that's why I say, be realistic. I'm not saying you should on some days do more of whatever. And by the way, it's not just for fitness. It could be for meeting a new mate, for meeting friends, for a new job, for starting a podcast, whatever it is. Just set realistic goals. And then in the next 30 days, then you can reset them. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. So I recently got a kitten, and it's the first cat I've ever had in my entire life. And so, I've been researching about how to we joke and we're like, we got to not break the cat, because we've got this really well-adjusted cat that likes people, and she comes back inside without us calling her. She doesn't threaten to run away. She's a really good cat. And one of the things that I learned is that it is very detrimental to our cat's mental health if you, for example, give them a laser pointer, but they never get it. They never catch it. They never kill it. And the psychology of it is that cats are built to hunt and to stalk, and then to kill and bring down prey. And so if you're constantly teasing it with this object like a shadow or a laser pointer or a light that they're never going to catch, they begin to think that, oh, I'm just a terrible hunter. I will never survive in the wild. It breaks down their mental understanding of what it means to be a cat. So I love what you said. I know. I love what you said about the brain needs to have success,
Yes.
For me, this means making up my bed every single morning. As soon as my feet hit the ground, the bed gets made. There's no like, oh, I've got to go take a call. I've got to do this. The other day I had a terrible night. I had to launch some products in the Philippines. And so I was up till all hours of the night. And so I didn't feel good the next day. And I wake up and I'm like, oh no, I'm 4 minutes away from a call. I wake up, I come in, I get everything set up. And one of my colleagues, who's a close colleague of mine, gets on the phone. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. You're going to have to wait a minute. I cannot focus on you until my bed is made. Like, I knew I was going to be late, so I wanted to respect your time. And so here I am, but I can't. There has to be some semblance of success each and every day. What are other small, tiny successes that your clients have had? You know, be it, you know, we've talked about meditating a minute a day, moving a minute a day, journaling a minute a day. What are some other just small, tangible things that our listeners can do in their daily life that help to spark positivity and joy throughout every area of their life?
First of all, can I just back up about the cat? You're cracking me up because I actually now want to use the laser. We have 3 or 4 cats at all times and a dog, but my cats are hunters. So the other day, I'm doing a live webinar. I did not look behind me, and somebody said, Sandy, there was a dead bird and 1,000 feathers all behind me because one of my cats brought me a gift.
Thank you, cat.
So you're saying the laser will stop them from being great hunters? Because every other day. So I just had to tell you that because I'm writing get laser.
It may make them less effective hunters, but it also jacks their mental health. So,
I know, so I'm just trying to think here. All right.
You got to balance the two things. So so back to tiny things. What can we do every single day?
First, number 1, pick a word. Pick a word. Just before your feet hit the ground. I know some people say they don't have a lot of time. Just pick a word and think of that word. So it could be joy. Like I said, it could be passion. It could be courage. How do you want to show up that day? And then write it everywhere, write it wherever you go. It doesn't take only but a second. If you feel like, Sandy, you don't understand, I got 3 kids right now. You shower, do it in the shower. Think of your word. How do you want to show up? Then mirror work. Secondly, right? You're going to have to brush your teeth, right? Put on shave. Look in the mirror every day. I know it sounds crazy until you can say, I love you just the way you are. Man, I love me. And believe it or not, that is the hardest thing for clients. Even clients I think are the most confident people, they go like this and they start crying. Like, even I've done mirror work with trainers I brought to conferences and they can't. So you want to get to the point, and you will, that you just say, I just love myself just the way I am. Not because I lost weight, not because I gained weight, not because I wrote a #1 bestseller. I just love me. I am worthy of everything beautiful in the world. Just say it. That's it.
Yeah.
And then as far as working out or meditating, do it while you're doing other things. So I have this game. I hate inside chores. I mean, I'll do anything outside. I'll dig holes. I'll weed. I'll be covered in mulch and I don't even care mud. But I make a game out of it. So I'll do lunges to the laundry. I'll do squats while I'm doing dishes. The little everyday things, you go up and down the steps. Don't make it like, oh my God, I have to do this big workout. If that's not you, do it in your daily routine. Also, if you're getting stressed out or too many Zoom calls and you think my brain is going to explode, just get up and move. Or just get up and go, I feel good. I feel good. I'm telling you, a minute will make a huge difference.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So I love the fact that your philosophy is not that you must walk an hour every day. It's about, how do I take a moment to just encourage my body to move, because that helps to shift my mind. And that is something that I've been teaching in yoga. You know, in one of our podcast episodes, we talked about the importance of transformational language, which you mentioned a moment ago. Like, how do I go from this anxious, nervous setting to excited or peaceful or relaxed or calm or whatever those words of transformation are? I also love just sometimes you just got to scream.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to do some big movements. There's a reason that a gorilla pounds its chest.
Yep.
You can do those same things to help embody courage,
Mhm.
even if your brain doesn't think it yet. So let me ask you this. So when we do those kinds of things, like if we take power postures or if we do squats before we're about to go and do something that makes us really nervous, or if we're in traffic and we scream a song at the top of our lungs, is this just faking it till we make it, or is there something real going on within our brain and our neurotransmitters? What is physically changing that helps to support our mood and our positivity and our affect and our joy?
Okay. It's both. So there is fake it till you make it, meaning that you're conditioning yourself. Like we said, your brain over time, little things make a huge difference. And your neurotransmitters will respond to the smallest little thing that you tell it. Like I said, it may not be today, like I'm going to embody pure joy, but it remembers it. Muscle memory, it remembers it little bits. If you remember like working out, you know how you say, oh, you can bike and then you don't bike for years and you get back on it. It's the same thing with the brain. I mean, think about it. It's a muscle and you're working it. So yes, at that moment, you may not believe it, but over time, you will, and you'll condition yourself. So now here's a big thing. People say, oh, positive affirmations. I am awesome. I am amazing. It's all bullpucky. Okay. Yes, there's deeper work to be done, right? It's not just about those positive affirmations, but at least it gets you in that mindset to do the deeper work. Some people have more work than others. I don't know if we have time for it, but last year, and no one even knew this, I got hit with such a horrible, they didn't even know what was wrong with me, neck injury, that I couldn't move for 6 months. I was down for the count. We're talking lying on my side, couldn't type, could only do podcasts. People had no idea I was hosting podcasts on my side. Needed help to go to the bathroom. Couldn't walk, couldn't bike, couldn't drive. I was not able to, like, the pain in my neck and head was so bad. And they didn't know what was wrong. So I went through, crazy stuff like MRIs, all the stuff that you don't want to go through, right? Freaking out, like, what the heck? My doc. And I had an amazing mentor who got me through this. But the deep work, and this is so important, that I got out of it is because everyone is Sandy Joy Weston, joy, 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 uplifting. There were deep things down in me that I didn't, which you spoke about, allow out. I never allowed myself to be really angry. I never allowed myself to freak out. Everybody calls me. I have to be uplifting. I have to think of the positive spin. I put such expectations on myself. And it was crazy. I mean, I didn't realize it at the time because I'm happy, I'm joyful. I went out to Colorado to this conference, and it was a business conference, but it was also to set your intention. And I'll never forget, he came around hundreds of people and said, Sandy, what do you want? Give me 2 words. What do you want to embody in the next 6 months or year? And I said, pure joy and freedom. And tears start running down my face. He said, you're going to get it. And I came home, and after that, it hit me to the point, I mean, literally, I thought, okay, where are we going? I have so much more to do, but it was so bad. I was frozen. It wasn't even like fear. It was so painful. But through all that, I kept getting this message, and my mentor kept coaching me. He said, Sandy, I'm so happy that you're getting this gift. Can you find pure joy? that space in between where you feel joy, like you tell everyone, not because you're saving the world, not because your podcast is a hit, not because this, not because that, not that you don't want that. Are you worthy? And can you find pure joy? I was like, I don't know. And it took me months. And finally, I was like, oh my God, I'm free. I felt this. It sounds crazy and I'm still working on it, but I felt this euphoria come over me, like I matter. And everything else I do is just because I want to do it, not to prove to the world that I'm getting like, oh, I don't usually tell this story. Now everybody knows this story, but everyone just thought, my friends didn't even know. I had two best friends who came over and say, you're going to live. You're going to live. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, you have a purpose in this world. Everybody thought I was touring. They thought I was doing speaking engagements. They thought I was in some other country, just touring around, because my social presence, my manager kept it up. And I was able to do podcasts on my side. But that was an invaluable, I mean, for me, it took me not to move for me to get what I wanted, which is, can I feel that? And I'm not saying every day I do. Do you know what I mean? I can get caught up in it. But can I come to do what I really want to do with the world, which is make people realize their worthiness and their power just for being who they are. And then the rest is all because they want to do it. Not getting caught up. Like everybody was like, what's your next big thing, Sandy? And I was like, oh my God. I'm not Sandy Joy Weston. I don't own health clubs. What am I doing? And I felt like I was, what's my next big thing? Who am I?
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that I don't want to do all this stuff, but it's because I want to do it.
Right. And here you are on the journey of figuring out what even the heck that means, and just experiencing it and finding joy, finding peace, finding freedom every step along the journey. And isn't that just a huge blessing to have?
Pure joy, not
pure
force.
Joy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pure, because I mean, I realized that a lot of days I was just like, oh my God, all right, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And that's great. But I never allowed myself to cry, to feel fear, to be angry at a lot of stuff that happened in years ago. And your body stores it. You got to get it out. You have to get it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Sandy, I encourage all of our listeners to come over and check you out over at sandyjoyweston.com. They can download a free ebook all about brain resets, how you can shift your mindset in just a few moments each day. Before I let you go, can I ask you a couple of lightning round questions?
Sure.
What is your greatest strength?
Finding the goodness in everyone.
What do you struggle with the most?
Feeling worthy.
If you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Lighten up.
What keeps you up at night?
Family.
Who has been your greatest inspiration?
My angels.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What makes you laugh?
Being goofy. I am silly. I am quirky. I'm geeky. And when I do that, it makes me laugh.
When is the last time that you experienced tears of joy?
This morning.
Oh, giving me chills.
Just looking at my son.
No, that's what happens when you invite pure joy into your everyday being. You become the person who cries at Hallmark commercials because you see the love. You see the love in so many small places all around you. Last but not least, God to you is
universal love, embracing everybody wherever they are. No judgment. I always say, whatever gets you to hug a tree, feeling that pure, unconditional love. So powerful.
Oh, I love that so much. Sandy Joy, it has been such a wonderful conversation with you today. Thank you so much for blessing us with your beautiful energy here today on the Lindsey Elmore Show.
I had so much fun. Thank you.
We all put a lot on our bodies at work each day. Whether we sit for extended hours or type all day, putting our wrists at risk, or maybe we have to lug heavy boxes from one place to another, our body gets fatigued and worn out. And that's to say nothing about the mental stress that goes into working. I created a handout, and while I originally designed it exclusively for pharmacists, I realized that it can really benefit anyone in the workplace. All you have to do is take a quick break, 30 seconds, 1 minute every hour or two, and do a few simple stretches and breathing exercises to get you through your daily routine with ease. All you have to do to download the free handout is head to www.lindseyelmore.com/pharmacist. This will allow you to download a free guide for yoga in the workplace. Simple stretches, simple breathing techniques that help you control your nerves, maintain your body, and stay healthy at work. Head to www.lindseyelmore.com/pharmacist to download the free guide. Listen, everybody, we all get down in the dumps sometimes. We all have those moments where we say, oh, woe is me. Why did this happen? Couldn't this have happened to someone else? But we have an opportunity to consciously choose joy in our everyday life. How can we do that? Well, first, look for meaning in just the small things. This year's been a challenging year for a lot of people. We've all had some very tough circumstances. But if you can take a moment to recognize the joy of the laughter of your child, or maybe just the gentle breeze outside of your door, it may not seem like much, but giving gratitude for the small things can help you to have a more positive and optimistic outlook. Let me tell you a story from one of my professors back in pharmacy school who absolutely changed my life. Rachel Remen wrote a book called My Grandfather's Blessings and another book called Kitchen Table Wisdom. And it summarizes her experience of being a physician and seeing how life and meaning and soul was slowly being lost out of the practice of medicine. She was a huge advocate about finding meaning and finding joy through even the toughest of times. One of the simple exercises that she says is every single time you see a white feather out on the street, be it floating in the air, be it in an elevator, on a train, maybe you find one randomly inside of your car. Just every time that you see a white feather, take a moment and pause in gratitude. If you've never done this exercise before, you don't even think you'll see any white feathers, but now I guarantee you'll see them everywhere. And they become almost like little mini blessings that float into your life and float out of your life. So taking a moment just to say, wow, there's another white feather, I'm so grateful to see one, can help to spin your mind back into that positive spectrum. What else can we do to find joy in our everyday life? Okay, you have to cut your spiraled thinking out. The spiraled thinking out has to end. I recently finished reading Clean 7 by Dr. Alejandro Younger. And one of the things he describes in the book is how many of us have imaginary arguments in our head. I know I'm guilty of it. That you're just waiting. That coworker that you can't stand, that you're just like, eventually they're going to say this one-liner that I have been preparing for weeks, my zippy comeback that's going to put them in their place and they're going to finally be nice to me from now on. It's not true. It's not true. So if you feel like you're in that spiraled thinking, stop and recognize that you can pause for just a moment and realize that in this very moment, this one right here, the only one that actually exists right now, you have no stress. You have no confrontation with another person. You have nothing that is worth your fight or flight response. Nothing. Straighten out that spiral. Don't go down the rabbit hole of negative thinking. Put the brakes on it and come back. The next thing you can do is think really small picture. What can you be grateful for that's just in your life right now? We all live in this false Instagram reality where so-and-so's got the best house, the most amazing photography, the husband that's always doing chores around the house without even having to be asked, the children that are always in matching dresses and their hair is always perfect. It doesn't really exist. It does exist in small snippets within these people's lives, and that's why we love it. But once again, that is a small picture on an Instagram feed. Ultimately, when you take a moment to look for meaning in all of the small pictures that come before your eyes every single day, and you add meaning to them, this is a way that you can break up with that idea that I've got to live this perfect Instagram reality and realize that, wow, had I had a camera on that one moment of pure joy, I would be an Instagram sensation, but it was fleeting and it was in the middle of bath time and I had dinner on the stove and the phone was ringing. A million things might have happened, but you paused for just long enough to recognize the beauty in the world around you. And that is another way that we can bring more joy into our lives. Additionally, ladies, we have a bad habit of denying ourselves the things that make us the most happy. As we learned in this episode, something as pure as the pursuit of I just must dance had led our guest Sandy down an entire pathway that created her career, that created connections with her because she made room for the passion that she feels in her life. Make room for your passionate activities. Whatever it is, now is a moment that you can choose to revitalize that passion and to do something bigger and more meaningful than you are. If that means volunteering for a charity that you believe in, donating your time to perhaps you've been a teacher for a number of years, and you know that there are a lot of women choosing to homeschool their children this fall. Donate an hour to them and teach them, hey, here's how I go about teaching second graders how to become better readers. Here's how I go about teaching 15-year-olds how they have to obey classroom rules. You have a moment where you have a skill set that would be so meaningful to other people. Embrace your passions, develop them, and share them with other people. Another thing you can do is simply be present. Always come back to the current moment and know that the current moment is the only one that matters. Sure, if you are still living in a life where you haven't confronted the demons of your past, you might as well go ahead and do it now. It's not going to get any easier tomorrow. And by recognizing that you have permission to heal from the things that hurt you when you were younger, and to realize that by allowing yourself to heal, you can grow and evolve and become a more joyful person in your everyday life. It's also going to help you to help embrace your own authenticity, knowing the crap that you waded through when you were younger and allowing it to, instead of bogging you down and convincing you that you're not worth it, that you aren't the person who deserves happiness, let it go and find joy in simply being exactly who you are through all of the barriers that you put up in front of yourself, the barriers that you put in front of yourself that prevent you from relating to other people on a real, profound, and deep level. When you do all of this, it also really helps you to get out of your comfort zone. If you're tired of feeling the same way every single day, do something different. Shift your mental state. I know for me, when I moved out of New York and I moved into the suburbs in North Carolina, I decided I wanted to go on a cleanse, and I wanted to use that cleanse to shift my perspective about myself, about my life, about my place within the universe. And it's been such a blessing because I started with the cleanse that I'd done a million times. I started with the Clean Slate Cleanse, which I absolutely love and adore. And I think that it can be game-changing for so many people, especially if you've never done a cleanse. But for me, I've been doing that cleanse for 11, 12 years now. Going 21 days on this cleanse doesn't even feel like much anymore. So I wanted a new level of challenge. I wanted a new way to push myself outside of my comfort zone so that I could discover what I was still masking even on the Clean Slate Cleanse. I wanted to discover what within me could come from doing something I've never done. And I'm right in the middle of it, but I promise I'll share with you the results on an upcoming episode. So here's to you, friend. May you find more joy in your everyday life. May you laugh more, go outside more, find all the positive people and surround yourself with the love that they can so freely give. And may you aim to be so full of joy that it overflows and creates positivity and love everywhere that you go. The Lindsey Elmore Show is written and produced by me, Lindsey Elmore. Show segments are produced by Sue Procco and Kelsey Lorman. Production design, sound design, and editing is by Jive Media. If you have a question about this or any other episode of the podcast, send us an email to hello@lindseyelmoreshow.com. And hey, since you're still here, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And while you're at it, go over and follow us on Instagram @Lindsey Elmore Show. This helps us bring the pod to more people.